Hello, everyone, welcome back to the channel Future Force. Please subscribe and like my videos. Today, we are diving into one of the most significant developments in modern warfare that shook the world during the late hours of the night. A massive, coordinated Ukrainian night raid targeting Russian oil depots and critical power grid facilities was executed with precision, shock, and a level of intensity that immediately captured global attention. To understand the full picture of this extraordinary operation, we will explore it from different angles, just like reviewing a machine or a system. From its exterior, the deeper interior mechanisms, its performance in action, the built-in safety features, the unique selling points that make it stand out, the overall cost or price in terms of strategy and resources, and finally the conclusion of what this means for the war and the future. The exterior of this night raid can best be described as a bold display of firepower under the cover of darkness. On the outside, what the world witnessed was a sudden eruption of strikes against Russian oil facilities, with explosions lighting up the skies and massive flames consuming storage tanks. The black smoke, rising into the night, created a visual reminder of how fragile critical infrastructure can be in times of war. The Russian power grid facilities, some located deep within their territory, came under intense attack from drones and missiles that moved stealthily through the air. This exterior view showed devastation, fireballs erupting, transformers burning, and entire energy hubs collapsing into silence. It was not only a military act, but also a psychological message, projecting Ukraine's ability to take the fight directly to the backbone of Russia's war machine. The exterior therefore symbolized both destruction and strategy, showing the visible surface of Ukraine's determination. The interior of this operation reveals a much more complex story. Inside the strategy, Ukraine relied on a mix of advanced drones, cruise missiles, and intelligence coordination that made the attack possible. The planning involved long-range surveillance, satellite guidance, and the integration of Western, applied technology with homegrown Ukrainian innovations. Within the command centers, Ukrainian analysts tracked fuel depots, power relay stations, and vulnerable nodes of Russia's grid system. By combining cyber elements, drone swarms, and timed missile strikes, the interior workings reflected not just firepower, but a fusion of brains and technology. Inside the drones, for example, small but highly efficient engines powered them silently across hundreds of kilometers, equipped with GPS navigation and cameras feeding real-time information. The interior of the operation also involved Ukrainian crews working tirelessly through the night, synchronizing the timing so that multiple facilities were hit almost simultaneously, overwhelming Russian defenses. This massive coordination was the hidden interior architecture of the raid, showing how every moving piece had a role to play in creating the bigger picture. Unlike the exterior, which shows the results of explosions, the interior reflects the invisible web of intelligence, logistics, and teamwork that made the strikes possible. It was this hidden layer that made the operation not just a random act of aggression, but a carefully crafted blow to Russia's energy and war economy. When we move into performance, the results speak for themselves. The Ukrainian strikes successfully destroyed or heavily damaged multiple oil depots, cutting off large reserves of fuel meant for Russian military vehicles, tanks, and aircraft. Power plants and substations went offline, leaving some regions in temporary blackout, forcing Russia to scramble emergency crews to restore electricity. The performance of Ukraine's drones was remarkable, as they managed to penetrate deep air defenses and avoid interception. The missiles, too, performed their role effectively, reaching targets with high accuracy. The overall performance of the raid demonstrated Ukraine's capacity to carry out long-range, high-impact strikes that cripple the opponent's logistics without necessarily engaging in direct frontline battles. This kind of performance changes the tempo of war because it shows Ukraine's offensive capabilities are not confined to its borders but can stretch far into enemy territory. The raid's impact was not only physical but also psychological. It showed that no matter how fortified Russia thinks it is, vulnerabilities exist and can be exploited with speed and precision. Safety features in this kind of high-risk operation are not about protecting the enemy, but about ensuring Ukraine's forces achieve maximum effect with minimal risk to their own personnel. By using unmanned drones, Ukraine drastically reduced the chances of losing pilots or frontline soldiers. The safety mechanisms inside these drones allowed them to be programmed for long-distance flights, automatically adjusting to wind and weather, reducing the chances of mission failure. Cyber defense systems also acted as safety features, protecting the communication links from being jammed or hacked by Russian forces. Another layer of safety came from careful timing. The strikes were conducted at night when detection was harder, reducing the chances of enemy interception. From a broader sense, the safety feature of this strategy lies in asymmetric warfare itself. Striking infrastructure rather than engaging massive ground battles reduces human casualties while still delivering a devastating blow to the enemy's resources. These safety elements ensured the raid was not just bold, but also measured, minimizing risks while maximizing impact. Unique selling points are what made this raid stand apart from countless other operations seen in the war so far. First, the sheer scale and depth of the raid were unique. Ukraine did not just strike one facility, but launched a series of coordinated attacks across multiple critical sites. This displayed a level of reach and coordination rarely seen before. Second, the use of mixed systems, drones, missiles, intelligence, and cyber showcased Ukraine's ability to blend modern technology with tactical innovation. Third, the symbolic nature of hitting oil and power grids went beyond military damage. Oil represents fuel for tanks and planes, while power grids represent the lifeline of cities and industries. By striking these two pillars, Ukraine attacked not just the war machine, but the everyday stability of Russia's internal systems. Another unique selling point was the message it sent to the world that Ukraine has evolved from defending its own soil to projecting power outward, showing potential allies and adversaries alike that it can take initiative in the conflict. These elements made the raid not just another strike, but a historic demonstration of modern asymmetric warfare. Price in this context does not simply mean financial cost, but also the strategic value and risks involved. The price Ukraine paid included the resources of manufacturing or acquiring drones, expending valuable missile stockpiles, and investing heavily in intelligence. However, compared to the price Russia paid, Ukraine's expenditure seems minor. Russia lost millions in destroyed oil reserves, damaged power infrastructure, and the cost of emergency repairs. Beyond money, the price Russia paid also came in the form of shaken morale, disrupted logistics, and the undermining of its image as an impenetrable fortress. On the other side, Ukraine paid a political price as well, with Russia likely to retaliate fiercely in the coming days. Yet, in terms of cost-to-benefit ratio, the raid was relatively inexpensive for Ukraine while inflicting an enormous price tag on Russia, both financially and strategically. In conclusion, the massive night raid where Ukraine struck Russian oil facilities and power grids represents a turning point in modern warfare. From the exterior devastation of burning oil tanks and darkened cities, to the interior complexity of coordinated intelligence and drone systems, the operation showcased a high-performance strike with safety mechanisms that protected Ukrainian lives while delivering maximum damage. Its unique selling points were its scale, coordination, and symbolic targeting of energy lifelines, all executed at a relatively low price compared to the staggering cost Russia suffered. This raid sends a clear message to the world. Ukraine is no longer only defending, but also capable of projecting offensive power in a calculated, modern, and effective way. It reshapes the battlefield not only in terms of geography, but also in terms of psychology and strategy. And while the war is far from over, this night raid will be remembered as one of the defining moments where the balance of power was tested in ways few could have imagined. The skies lit up with fire, but behind that fire was strategy, resilience, and the relentless will of a nation determined to fight for its survival and sovereignty.